What's going on, everyone? So D'Angelo Russell has been a real disappointment thus far this NBA season for the Lakers. He did the same thing last year. He started very slow and then started to pick it up, kind of get into a rhythm, get into a flow. And then next thing you know, he ended up having a historically great season for the Lakers. And we need that from him. And we need it badly. Right? Now, look, D'Angelo Russell, when he's on, he's cooking, and the things that he's capable of doing out there on the basketball court, although limited due to his athleticism and just lack of defensive upside, he's still a guy that go get you 30 on any given night. Still a guy that go when he's feeling it, he's cooking, get you in the mid to high 20s, as well as still dish out 6 to 8 assists, right? And just generate a ton of offense by himself. But it's the consistency, right? You need him to be consistent. You need the best version of D'Angelo Russell. Obviously, there's the playoff concerns and the playoff elements. All right. A couple things about that. One, you got to be able to win regular season games in order to get into the playoffs. Right? So you need a guy like D'Lo who is excellent in the regular season and then kind of try to figure it out come postseason. And you're hopeful that JJ Redick can be the difference for a guy like a D'Angelo Russell. On top of that, you're hoping that getting kind of more experience under his belt, because this guy isn't a guy that was like a perennial playoff player, right? So the hope is that the more he plays, the more comfortable he gets, the more he'll show up, right? You saw progress from year one with the Lakers to now last year with the Lakers, where in the Denver series, he basically was a no-show that first year in the conference finals, but last year, he was good in like half the games, right? Great in one of them. So it's like, okay, well, there's some progress. So hopefully he can kind of have some progress. I believe D'Angelo Russell is going to be traded regardless. Now, I said it all offseason. I would be shocked if he is a Laker come the trade deadline, because he's redundant on this team, primarily because of Austin Reaves, and Austin Reaves has looked very good. He didn't in this last game. Austin Reaves was bad in this last game. And I've been very critical of Austin Reaves, particularly his shooting. I've talked about his defense, although he was very poor defensively last night. But I've talked about his defense and how good his defense has been. Talked about how he's rebounding better. He's actually doing a better job running the offense. I don't trust him as your primary playmaker. However, in this offensive system, you can get away with it, right? Because you don't need that like Chris Paul level, Darren Williams type of point guard. You just need that initiator. You just need somebody that can get you into your actions and basically just run the basics, which Austin Reaves is more than capable of doing. Needs to take care of the basketball a little bit better, but beyond that, he's a guy that I do think if you were to trade D'Angelo Russell, which I do believe they will, and I do believe that they need to, you can survive with, I believe, Austin Reaves in that initiator role for the Lakers. And then if you ever do need a default to just, hey, we need a playmaker, right? You have LeBron James and he could just slide over and take that role if need be, but you're not really looking for that. So I do think Austin Reaves, particularly the way he's played, which it's really going to come down to consistency, right? Outside of this game, the last 3 games, he was good, right? But we saw that last year. He would have 3, 4, 5 games where he was killing it, looked fantastic. And then he'd have like 3, 4, 5 games where he was pedestrian. So he needs to have better consistency this year. And if he does, then again, that just makes D'Lo even more expendable, if not already, because now you don't need all the things that D'Lo provides. And D'Lo's kind of the odd man out. I mean, his usage rate is the lowest of his career, right? And it's because you don't need him for anything other than his shooting, right? Like literally, that's the only thing that you can justify D'Angelo Russell for, because he's not a great defender, and you don't need his playmaking abilities like you did in previous years because of the style of offense that you're running. So you don't need his playmaking. There's times, like we've seen moments where it comes in handy, but more times than not, you're probably not going to need him to dominate the basketball and wheel and deal like you have in previous years. And not a great defender. So it's like, what else? And he doesn't have this like insane athleticism. What else do you need him for besides shooting the basketball? Nothing, right? You need him as a shooter. So when he's not shooting well and he can't find the bottom of the net, it becomes a real problem because now he's just kind of completely phased out there for the Lakers. And it's just, it's an inevitability at this point. I think D'Lo could average 38 and 8 the rest of the season, and I still believe he'll be traded by the Lakers. Primarily because he's an expiring contract. And once we get to the trade deadline or around the trade deadline, that'll be absolute gold. Right? Lakers will be sitting on a gold mine just because you're going to have so many teams that are going to need to get out of contracts or get out of moves and stuff, especially with this new CBA. You saw teams, once you got to the trade deadline, lining up for Russell Westbrook and his contract, and that was $40 million. That was more than double what D'Angelo Russell's is. People would love to have D'Lo's contract because, again, the new CBA, you're already seeing players that teams don't necessarily want to trade that have to trade because they need to kind of clear future salary and stuff like that. I mean, even the Karl-Anthony Towns trade is a great example as to why they did that, right? They didn't really want to trade Cat. I mean, even Minnesota reporters were like, they don't really want to trade Cat, but they kind of needed to get off of his money long term so that way they can kind of retool around their main star, which is Anthony Edwards, right? So the Lakers need, they have several needs, but I think you need somebody that can complement D'Angelo or Austin Reeves if you're going to trade D'Lo. Somebody like a Bruce Brown, maybe like a Colin Sexton. I don't hate the idea of Colin Sexton, only if you can get Walker Kessler. If you can't get Walker Kessler in the deal, then I would personally stay away from Colin Sexton because I feel like that's more of a lateral move, right? D'Lo and Sexton. Although Sexton gives you better athleticism. He has had season where he's worse defensively than D'Lo. But he has also shown when he's locked in and engaged, he's actually a good defender and could be that point of attack, could be that pest because he has that athleticism. He has that quickness and foot speed. He can be a bit of a menace out there on the basketball court. It's just getting him bought in and focused. And then Bruce Brown is a guy that, can give you similar things, right? Give you the point of attack, give you just an off-ball / cutter, give you a guy that can defend essentially 1 through 3 for you. He's a guy that would be very versatile and kind of be a better complement alongside Austin Reeves while not taking away from Austin Reeves. Problem Bruce Brown, he's just not the shooter. At least a guy like Colin Sexton, he's a guy that gets you 38 to 40% from 3. He gives you a lot of the same production that D'Lo gets. But again, I wouldn't want Colin Sexton in exchange for D'Lo. If you were getting something for it, then sure. Like if it's like, hey, Utah's willing to throw in an asset or something, then maybe. But I just feel like that's really a lateral move, right? But if you can get like a Walker Kessler, right, and be like, hey, we'll give you D'Lo and like a Jalen Hood-Schifino or something like that, and we'll take Walker Kessler and a Colin Sexton, and now it's kind of a lateral move D'Lo for Sexton, but he's better athlete as well as better rim pressure, but it's more you're getting the prize in Walker Kessler, where it's like, hey, D'Lo has a fewer year, right? You get off of Sexton's money, so let's work some magic here. But I think that the Lakers, one, you're going to have to trade D'Lo at some point. He's the odd man out. He's the guy, he's phased out. And even if D'Lo turns it around offensively, that's great. But I don't see a scenario where it makes sense to keep him, especially the way that Austin Reeves has looked, giving Austin Reeves the benefit of the doubt, right? Assuming Austin Reeves can be more consistent and last game was more of an outlier rather than the norm, then I think we're in good shape. I think we'll be fine. But I just think that, D'Lo, when he's on, he's great. And we need, as long as he's in a Laker jersey, we need the best version of him as possible, right? We do. We need D'Lo to be the best version possible of himself. We need D'Lo to be able to hit shots with consistency, with regularity, be able to shoot the 3 ball well. I mean, he's our best shooter. He is. He's our best volume shooter. It's just, right now, we saw it last year. Again, he just gets on these slow starts and it takes him, 15, 20 games. And it's just like in the Western Conference, you can't afford that, right? We can't afford for D'Lo to take 10 games to finally start to get in a rhythm, because all of a sudden in the 10 games, you could be, 3-7, which I don't think is going to happen. Our next 2 games are going to be really good. I think the Lakers through 10 games will probably be 7-3, 6-4 at the worst. But, the point is that, like, you look at D'Angelo Russell and it's like, you need him to be the version we saw last year, but immediately. You need it out the gate. Right? You need him to be able to make the occasional play, to be able, like we've seen games where, the shot isn't falling and he'll just rattle off like 8 straight points through playmaking, right? He's gone on 6-8-0 runs by himself without taking a shot, just making plays. Boom, 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 boom. That's great. You want that. You want to see him be able to do other things besides that, but you don't need that possession after possession after possession after possession. Right? You need him to be able, more times than not, be able to shoot the ball off the dribble or shoot the ball off of a screen, right? He's coming off pin down or something, like whatever. You need him to be able to knock down shots with regularity. I do like that he's been more aggressive this year, right? His shot's not falling. He won't settle as much as he has, particularly last year. He'll put the ball on the deck and get to the basket, get to the rim. But if his shot isn't falling, he is essentially neutralized, because we don't need anything else that he does the way that we may have needed like last season. Like last season, we desperately needed his playmaking. Darvin Ham just never put him in the position to do so, right? It was just like, oh, let's just have LeBron dominate the ball for 20 to 24 seconds, right? Where I think last year you really needed, it made more sense to just give D'Lo the ball and let him create something. This season, with the new offense, and where it is a lot of player movement, a lot of ball movement, you just don't need that one guy to handle the basketball and make all the plays for the entire team. You just don't. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, you got to get off of D'Lo at some point? You got to trade D'Lo? Do you think, no, you got to keep D'Lo? D'Lo just makes more sense. Look, and I've been a big D'Lo defender. I've been critical of D'Lo when it's warranted, but I just think, 1, it's inevitable. He's going to get traded at some point, and 2, I just don't think he's as needed as he was in the previous years, given the style of offense in which we're playing and kind of the rest of the pieces that we have. And D'Lo's kind of the one contract that you can trade to go get the other things that you need. But anyway, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.